Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here and welcome back to another Division video. Now the hype train just keeps on going. Ubisoft have been dropping trailers left, right and centre this week, but they have just dropped another one and this one is most definitely worth talking about. The trailer is playing in the background and of course if you guys want to see it in full I will leave a link to it in the description box down below, but this one basically talks about year one. As you guys know, the Division itself, when it launches next week, is not just going to be final there. They've got a series of updates, both paid and free, planned throughout the year. And this video basically gives us a glimpse at what's coming. So with that being said, we're going to jump in, take a look at it, explain what all the different updates mean, and also speculate a little bit about what some of the other ones might mean. So if you guys do enjoy this video, if you're hyped, then hit that like button, let me know what you think in the comments down below, but let's get started.
Incursions will introduce the first of an all-new challenging in-game activity developed specifically for squad play. This incursion will pit you and your squad against a seemingly unstoppable force and reward you with some powerful new weapons and equipment.
Alright, so first of all, the very first update, update 1.1, Incursions, drops in April, and as mentioned it introduces a new endgame activity that's designed for squad play. Now from what I can gather from the gameplay, this is not the raid that we've been looking for, because it still seems like it's a squad activity. You see 4 agents in here, you don't see a number greater than 4, but it is still nice that they're going to add in additional activities that are considered endgame, which means there is more to it than just say doing the challenge mode in the existing missions. Now of course they say there's going to be good loot in this stuff. One of the other interesting things, if you guys noticed, if I pause right here, there is actually a life bar above that tank. They did say you're going to have to fight some pretty tough enemies, but taking on an actual tank or like a militarized vehicle, I guess is probably a better kind of description, is going to be pretty insane. I'm not sure whether we're going to have to use sticky bombs, grenades, or whether there'll be some more powerful weapons, I'm not too sure. But either way, that is really cool and that's going to drop in April.
The second update will change the way you play in the Dark Zone. It will also add a new incursion in the iconic Columbus Circle.
Then moving over to the second update, the one called Conflict that drops in May. This is mainly kind of like focused around the Dark Zone. It says in here that it's going to change the way you play. It doesn't really give you too many details. I'm not too sure yet. They mentioned in an accompanying blog post that the Dark Zone will also have events, so it won't just have, say, the roaming enemies. I believe Magnus actually spoke about this recently, but we won't just have the enemies at the landmarks and of course all other key locations, but you'll actually have some events here. So I imagine that's probably what's going to happen, because when you think in May, I would presume a lot of people will probably be level 30, so by that time they can probably start adding some things into the now merged Dark Zone. On top of that, they said they're going to be adding a second incursion in New York's Columbus Circle. Now the interesting thing here to take away is that they are using the word incursion a couple of times here. They mentioned in the first update there will be a new endgame incursion, and then now they're going to be adding another incursion in this update here. So while this doesn't appear from what we've seen again to be a raid-like activity, given that we only see 4 characters in there, it does seem like the term they're using, incursion, kind of could reflect a slightly higher end game, maybe sort of more difficult activity, something above, say, challenge mode, something above the missions we have. So you play through the game, you complete your story missions, and then suddenly you have a series of incursions, which will add a whole new complexity. That is a little bit of speculation right now, but judging by the way they're using the term, that does sound like the sort of thing we're thinking. If you kind of like use it in World of Warcraft terms, you could probably liken incursions to instances. And if you're looking for a Destiny comparison, probably more like strikes.
In the first expansion, Underground, descend into the underbelly of New York to save what remains. Deadly enemies are regrouping in the endless maze of tunnels and subways of the underground. How deep will your team go?
Then following those, you have the first paid expansion. Of course, this is the one that comes with the Season Pass. The previous 2 ones are completely free for everyone. This one, however, comes with the Season Pass, the Underground expansion that drops in June, and this one will see us go in the maze and the tunnels underground, which is going to be super cool, because of course that will give us a whole new area to explore, more loot to get, more stuff to do, and that is going to be pretty exciting.
In the second expansion, Survival, will you find enough essential supplies throughout New York to survive and secure high-tech equipment? Or will you succumb like so many others to the temptation to turn rogue?
Now the second expansion, of course, following that in the summer is Survival, and this one, if you actually look at the accompanying blog post, the actual description for this one says Underground will be followed by Survival later in the summer, which will challenge you to survive for as long as possible in a very hostile environment while gathering supplies and equipment. Now, don't know about you, but that kind of sounds a bit like a battle royale sort of scenario to me. Admittedly, we know right now that, there aren't modes, there's just like the open world, and of course there is the Dark Zone. But if they suddenly kind of like made a twist on it, I don't know whether they would expand the Dark Zone, whether it would kind of like bleed out of the current borders, or whether they would just sort of like extend it up or down. Either way, it does sound like they're going to be adding a whole kind of new dynamic to it. And of course they also mentioned new loot, new gear. So with every single one of these expansions, you might kind of complete your arsenal in the current expansion, then suddenly new stuff will come out, and there'll be loads more stuff for you to collect.
A new threat is rising in the third expansion, Last Stand. You and your squad must prepare to defend against a relentless foe. Recruit other agents and build your defenses to help you hold the line.
Alright, now this final one, Last Stand, coming in the winter. I'm going to go out there and say it. At the end of it, they talk about recruiting other agents to help you make that kind of like final stand. Now, it could well mean recruit other agents within your squad, i.e. still a team of 4. Or this could well be like the long-awaited raid that we were hoping for. Now, if this is indeed the case, it does of course mean that the base game will not come with a raid activity, and instead we'll have to wait for that. But if it is at least on the horizon, if it's something that we will see in the future, I am completely happy to wait for it. Also, if you look at the picture at the beginning where it's got like the skull mask on the front of what appears to be the Statue of Liberty, could that hint at, say, another potential location we could be fighting? You know, maybe this is one of those locations that you have to fly to in a helicopter, and you like have the complete like last stand outside Manhattan somewhere else. Could be really cool. Again, this is all kind of like wild speculation, but it is pretty exciting, especially kind of like when you listen to the wording. There's not really much on the accompanying blog post on that one, because of course that is the furthest away expansion, and details on that are still pretty light. And of course, as you scroll through the background, when they're talking about the season pass, you of course get the sawn-off shotgun, which you can see here. You also get some additional content updates, plus you get regular content drops, so there'll be things like, you know, whether that's gear or whether that's, you know, item sets, or whether that's additional things will remain to be seen, but either way that's going to be more stuff you get with the Season Pass, and on top of that, the Season Pass bonus events. There'll be events, we don't know exactly what they're going to be yet, but they will be events exclusive to those people that have the Season Passes. But it doesn't end there. While we've seen a lot of stuff coming over the year, there's also a lot more stuff, and this is going to be really cool. I know it's one of the things that people have been asking for. They also said that throughout the year we'll be seeing loot trading, gear sets, Dark Zone features, daily assignments, weekly assignments, more weapons, Dark Zone events, challenge mode. There's a lot of stuff there, but just dialing back for a second, loot trading is one of the things that a lot of people have been asking for. And again, if we take a look over on the blog post, the actual details behind this explain that if you are in a group and you basically take part in activities, so let's say we complete a mission, and at the end of the mission we get a load of loot, and I don't particularly want my armor piece, but say you could really do with it. At that time, we can then trade as a group, so I could then give you my armor piece, you could give me your gun, but that doesn't mean to say I could then just sort of, you know, walk into a safe house and randomly find someone and say, hey, take this weapon. It's a localized kind of trading system that works within a group, within an instance, but either way, it's still really exciting, because as mentioned, it does just mean that if I get something that you want and I don't really need, and I would otherwise just dismantle or sell, I can instead give it to you. So trading while you're in a group. Also, daily and weekly activities, that is something I have been asking for, because that is ultimately one of the things that keeps people coming back for endgame content. You look at any sort of game where you play a lot of hours, typically it's because it has a weekly and a daily format, things that will kind of keep you coming back in. It means every single day you can log in, do some daily activities, you know, log off if you want to, and then do some like weekly stuff, so that's going to be really cool. And also Dark Zone events. As mentioned, we are not just going to see, you know, enemy groups at specific locations, we'll actually have events. We don't know again exactly what they're going to be, but it does mean there'll be more to do in the Dark Zone than simply roaming around killing players and killing, you know, enemies in fixed locations. So, that is pretty much it. That was just a look at some of the stuff coming in Year 1. And of course, if you really want to read into it, the fact that they called it Year 1 could therefore go to illustrate that there will be a Year 2 at some point. But anyway, that is of course wild speculation, moving a little bit too far forward. So for the time being, that is it. That's a look at some of the stuff coming this year. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And again, if you want to see the full trailer, then you can find that linked down below. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.